If someone asked me in this season of my life, who in the Bible inspires you most, my answer would be David, and if they asked which book speaks most clearly to my season, I would say the Psalms. I resonate deeply with David because, honestly, many of his psalms were not written in moments of ease, but in dark and uncertain seasons where he felt emotionally unstable, yet remained spiritually anchored in God. David did not edit his pain before bringing it to God. He poured it out honestly, and then anchored his soul in truth. In his earlier years, his writing feels urgent and raw. These were seasons of fear and displacement, running from Saul, hiding in caves, betrayed by people he trusted, and rejected even within his own household. His life was unstable, and his prayers reflected that instability. But later in life we hear a different tone, a seasoned voice, a man who has lived long enough to compare youth with old age, fear with faith, chaos with clarity. In Psalm 37 verse 25, David reflects and testifies, "I was young and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread." This is not theory, this is experience. David had lived long enough to watch seasons turn, to see the rise and fall of both the righteous and the wicked, and through it all, one truth stood firm: God remained faithful. What moves me deeply is that David says these things as a king, a man of influence, authority, and affluence, yet he still writes, "A father to the fatherless, a defender of widows, is God in his holy dwelling." That's from Psalm 68 verse 5. Why would a king speak this way? Well, it's because David carried an emotional history of rejection. He was rejected by his father, treated as insignificant, hunted by Saul, forced to live as a fugitive in caves. Even when people tried to help him, human effort was never perfect. David learned, personally, that when human strength fails, God steps in. He experienced God as Father long before he ruled a nation, and because of that, he understood God's heart for the vulnerable, the widows, the fatherless, refugees, families torn apart by conflict. David saw God step in not only for him, but for the people God entrusted to him. David knew God's power because he had been powerless. He knew deliverance because he had been trapped. As he says, "He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock." That's from Psalm 40 verse 2. That is why David could speak to his own soul, and, that is why he could say, "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." He knew what it was like to lack human protection, and to experience God as his refuge. And that same understanding is why David declares, "Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be shaken but endures forever." That's from Psalm 125 verse 1. David had seen instability, nations surrounded by enemies, wicked rulers rising, people fearing collapse. He understood that while circumstances shake, those who trust in God remain spiritually unmovable. God steps into instability and brings stability, so even when emotions tremble, the soul can remain grounded. Even when human strength fails, God remains faithful, and even when the night is heavy, we can still lie down and sleep, because the God who keeps us never sleeps.